Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dr. Sia channel. In the video here today, we're going to be talking about yet another one of the requests that a viewer here on the Dr. Sia channel sent in, which is, why did I want to become a therapist? So, well, I suppose if one is interested, then more than one would be interested. Well, I wanted to be a therapist because where I grew up, there was a lot of violence. There was a lot of kind of Nazis meet immigrants conflict. There was a lot of drugs. There was a very, very little understanding of mental health problems and mental health solutions, if you will. So within this context, as I grow up, there's kind of a sense, there was a sense within me, an eerie sense that something is wrong, that people who are unwell get tagged as bad people. You know, these kids who lived in my community, as soon as something was wrong, including for myself or my friends, or when I got older for younger kids, I was just noticed that there was no real discussion around mental health problems possibly being responsible for any of this stuff. It was just like, oh, okay, you're either a good person or you're a bad person. It was more religious, it was more around like, you're a demon or you're an angel, you're a good guy or you're a bad guy. It was like this superhero comic stuff. And I love comics, but but it's fantasy. In reality, there is no Superman and Lex Luthor and so on and so forth. It's much more complex than that in reality most of the times. Even though probably your average police officer would want to think the opposite. They think they're out there solving many of the problems of the world through the drug on war, for example. The war on drugs. The war on drugs. Yeah, good guys, bad guys. Yeah, those horrific people out there who are smoking weed or using MDMA. Anyway, look, I digress. So what I'm trying to say is, this was kind of where we grew up, that if you used drugs or you did anything and you had any problems, it wasn't even viewed that way. It was like, oh, you're one of those filthy, dirty people who use drugs. The police ought to catch you. You ought to be in prison because you took that marijuana now made you, now you're evil, but if you don't smoke weed, then, oh, you're a good person. And of course, this frustrated me a lot. This made me extremely angry over time. I became angry at the society. I became angry at all these police officers who would cause problems for these poor, disgruntled, abused, traumatized kids. And over time, I started looking backwards at all that and realizing that there's probably something else that can be done. And I remember opening a book in the library on Freud. And well, that was the end of that. This guy had so much to say about humanity, about people, about the things that cause problems for us. And I remember some of the stuff didn't make sense to me, but some of it really did. And then I became interested in the idea that perhaps we could, person to person, from one person to another, help each other understand and help each other reach some form of healthy level, so that we can kind of develop a different argument, so that we can change our society from one person to the other, so that we can, I don't know, like have some sense of health, something healthier than just, oh, you don't like it, so smash it or chuck it in prison because you think it doesn't look too good. And I think that anger and that kind of rage and that kind of disgruntled, upset motivated me to study and to want to help. And of course, over time, that kind of shifted into, I was able to start to see the love that I have as well for everyone who's going through these things. And it wasn't just about myself anymore. It wasn't just about my friends who were kind of mistreated anymore. It became something else. It became a potential to make a genuine change. And I know that, look, there are people out there who are doing a lot of jobs that make genuine change. There are lawyers, there are medical doctors, there are nurses, there are tilers, there are house builders, there are water suppliers, there are people who work in charity. Bless you if you're working in charity. I know how hard it is. I've done it myself. So, over time, I think we all try to contribute in some way. And that's really why I became a psychologist, to try to contribute in the way that I know, which is to defeat this, if you will, problem that I saw happening, which is that how often mental health problems are confused with evil, with bad person, with people becoming outcasts because no one understands their mental health problems. And by and large, I think I'm kind of achieving that to some extent for me. So I feel satisfied with what I'm achieving here with YouTube and as being a therapist, talking to patients, one person to another, one at a time, helping people achieve something better for them, which then I hope, and sometimes I'm told, that what happens is that they then in turn manage to help somebody else, either get them to therapy or even to support them or explain some things to them. And so I think it's kind of this space where we can talk about some of the issues that are happening in the world in a safe manner. And as I was talking about this, I also realized I probably need to step out of my safe shell and talk about drugs and the problem with the war on drugs, because that really bothers me. There are a lot of people in prison today that should not be in prison. So let's talk about that. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much. Please subscribe and I'll see you again for the next one.